What is up, guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of History Channel, ROTS, or Role of the State. Today we'll be focusing in on the ancient city of Constantinople. Created by the great emperor Constantine in 324 BCE, the city would soon become a major trading hub and an extraordinary display of Roman wealth. Also, this Constantine guy, what kind of ego do you have to slap your name on an entire city? Sorry about that. Anyway, onto our first topic, rots and religion. Constantine was the first Roman emperor to convert to Christianity, and during his reign, the formerly unpopular religion saw a major influx of new members, as the new emperor popularized the faith. Therefore, it makes sense that Constantine's Constantinopolis would be partially devoted to Christianity. Constantinopolis was filled with spectacular churches, filled with religious art depicting numerous saints. All of the empire's most splendid religious structures were located here. Constantine also wanted to control part of this new religion, and created a type of rule called
Caesaropopism,
which means that the emperor is the leader of the state and the church. The emperor had a huge influence in religious affairs, and in turn was expected to follow biblical law and be a devoted Christian. Constantinople was a religious city, with the state influencing Christianity, and vice versa. Next, we have the relationship between the state and art. As previously mentioned, the state sponsored the creation of elaborate churches, which were a way for the government to connect with its citizens. Also mentioned before was the state's sponsorship of religious art, which actively used religious iconography, unlike the Abbasids in Baghdad, who forbade images of the Prophet Muhammad. Emperors in Constantinople were often pictured standing with religious icons, such as Mary or Jesus, giving a nod to their devotion. Furthermore, in a more militaristic art form, the people of Constantinople constructed a great wall in order to keep invaders out. Sorry, I had to. The wall was a very effective piece of defensive technology and allowed the Byzantines to defend the city for many years. The state sponsored many types of religious art and technology and took precautions to fortify the city of Constantinople. Next up is rots and law. Much of Constantinople law was based on biblical law, but the rules were constantly changing. While the Code of Justinian had previously determined acceptable legal practices, new sets of law were put into place by the state that more effectively reflected the views of the people. Women saw some increase in legal and economical power, equal punishment for all social classes was practiced, and bribery was forbidden so that the rich could not get away with crimes by paying off the judges. The state was constantly developing its laws as social standards changed and what was previously acceptable became unacceptable. Moving on to the role of the state in the military. After suffering drastic losses of territory, the Byzantine Empire reorganized itself into many large separate districts, also known as themes. While still maintaining a centralized government, the empire was divided into themes, each ruled by a different commander, who oversaw military and civil activity, but ultimately answered to the emperor. Furthermore, the themes were an incentive for soldiers to use their pay to rent land from the empire, settle, and farm the conquered lands. This division allowed for theme commanders to more quickly react to local threats and allowed the Byzantines to easily settle conquered lands. Finally, we have the relationship between the state and trade. Located along the Bosporus Strait, a narrow body of water connecting the Mediterranean Sea and the Black Sea, Constantinople could tax all trade that came across its ports. This allowed the city to become astronomically wealthy. They built excellent harbors and marketplaces to promote effective trade in the city. The state also sponsored the construction of a massive chain across the strait, so they only allowed merchant ships through. They also created many marketplaces called bazaars, which had goods from all over the Eurasian world. This state sponsorship, in order to promote effective trade, allowed Constantinople to become extraordinarily wealthy. Alright, thank you all for tuning in to this episode of ROTS. I hope you all had a fantastic time and learned something about Constantinople. Come back next week for another fascinating episode where we'll be traveling to the ancient city of Baghdad. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.